Gerganova. Thank you for the kind introduction. Well, what I wanted to do with my couple of minutes, I just wanted to make some proposals for consideration on the topic of whether scientific visualizations have artistic value or not. A little bit about my background. So my academic background is I did a postdoc in molecular biology. So I studied gradient formation in single organisms, and so the exhibition, the event, very close to my heart. It was beautiful to witness. Thank you for the invitation to all the organizers. And my artistic background is I'm a dancer, choreographer, and director of visual and dance performances. And so my interest in these two topics led to me founding Figure 1A, which is a scientific art nonprofit organization that organizes exhibitions, inside of which we kind of main mission is to host some open, compassionate dialogue between scientists and artists. And in my day job, I run my own company in scientific communications, so providing different support and communication strategy to a variety of different entities. But today, I just wanted to connect with you around this couple of questions specifically that are in our panel about scientific visualization, is it art, and so on. So the two parts that I wanted you to consider at first is some very commonly expressed perspectives that I've heard a lot of in the last 8 years of working in this field. From an artist perspective, these kind of expressions, they are simply a documentation of a phenomenon and therefore have no artistic value, a statement which is also compounded with the fact that sometimes there is a lack of artistic intention or any emotional or cultural depth that prevents these works from being seen as art. And on the other side of the spectrum, there is a perception of scientists that see art either as a purely decorative tool or as just something to use to present a pretty picture and for it to be just a tool of science communication. And that since art holds only too much subjective emotional value, there is no substance and it's not a tangible thing. And as already in the previous panels, it was explained and addressed. These are somehow a little bit partial and reductionist consideration for both disciplines. So I wanted to talk to you about two parts of a creative process. One is the intention. What is the intention behind the creative process, no matter which domain you are in? And then a second part, which is the heavy load of the audience. So what is the perception and the fact that an artwork experiences a final transformation through the perception of its audience. So let's take two characters, an artist who is using scientific tools for their storytelling, and also a scientist who is also using the exact same tools to communicate an integral part of their human experience, which in that case happens to be maybe their work. And I wanted you to imagine something that both of these characters have kind of a unified, common need, and that is a very basic human need to be witnessed and understood. So both these characters put something out in this world to say, hey, this is what I do, this is who I am. I want you to see it, I want you to understand it, or as that's an extension of who I am as a person. So when we speak about intention, I wanted to unpack a couple of things, both for artists and for scientists, that may seem obvious, but earlier we also spoke a little bit about similes. So what are motivations that we could start recognizing as being more in both fields? So regarding artistic intention, the common things coming to mind are always some expression of emotional states or socio-political commentary. But I thought another phrasing of the second point could be the internal need of artists, which is kind of similar to scientists, which is for questioning either widely accepted ideas or the status quo. And somehow there is also, in some cases, inner skepticism, which is also foundational for scientists, that I believe is shared in the artistic world. And some topics that might not be so familiar to all scientists is that there are artists who really deeply specialize and to scholarly extent in the exploration of physical properties of color, light, materials, sound, texture, and scale. And I think they're probably some of the artists that have like a kind of the heaviest overlap with the interest of science. And on the other side, if we have an intention for a scientific artwork, what I've witnessed a lot through the years is that there is a deep need in some scientists to really reconnect with society and with community through their work. And actually, regarding these socio-political commentaries, a lot of scientists are motivated to provide visual representations also of social and environmental issues that are facing humanity. And another point maybe, so it is simplistic to say there need for expression of the motivation of scientific pursuit, but what I've noticed also a lot of is need of communication of transparency for scientists. So they're missing a space that can host the documentation not only of their scientific success, but also of failure. So failure of experiment, failure of hypothesis, to have a place without judgment where they can say, hey, science is kind of complicated and we cannot always document all that in negative data publications and so on. So there was a need of connection on that topic for a lot of scientists as well. So if we take the most simplest intention out of all of these, somebody says, hey, look, I made this because I kind of felt like doing it and it looks interesting, right? I suppose when you see the artwork, your personal judgment of whether you would call that art would definitely change based on who is the messenger. So if you see a data visualization, maybe you will feel one way, but maybe if you see Duchamp's urinal or the banana taped to the wall, maybe you will also think what I feel about this. Is it art? Is it art to me? And maybe you would say, well, but kind of an artist made that thing, so I guess it's closer to the art sphere just by, you know, connecting it with the person. But I think these expectations and these judgments are just completely natural, and there is a reason that they exist. But I wanted then to shift the point to perception. So as I mentioned, the work of the audience, of judging what is art. And this question we are not going to resolve today, right? And we are asking it in many shapes and forms. But the few things that maybe we can generally consider, and even those can be teased apart. So this is also reductive statements here. But still, we can agree that maybe from the pictures you've seen today, randomly without any indication which is made by a scientist and which by an artist, you would find the answer subjective. But an important thing is that an artwork should generally have some transformative quality to its observer, regardless if it's negative or positive. So even if you hate it, if it pisses you off that the banana is taped to the wall and it makes you want to smash it, that's still, from my perspective, that's still art because it had a transformative quality to you as the viewer. And related to that, we can say that the artwork itself also undergoes a transformation because its understanding is then different, maybe from the person who made it and from its observer. And this also can have an asterisk because according to Nietzsche, for example, you don't need to create an artwork for a specific audience. So it's not the creation for an audience that makes it an artwork. But as I said, there are a lot of asterisks we can add to these general statements. So the question for me is then, do scientific artworks leave their audiences transformed? And again, from my experience with Figure 1A and what we've witnessed over the years, is that there is another integral intention I left out from the previous list, and it is a transfer of knowledge, and maybe not in this forceful way in which you have to download your brain onto another person and say, hey, this is the thing I really care about, But I feel underneath that there is a need to transfer a sense of wonder about a particular subject. And what we've witnessed is sometimes very simple visualizations. If you can pair them with a compassionate explanation, they can leave audiences with one very important transformative experience. And that's a very deep, profound sense of curiosity and need for exploration, a need for developing or pursuing an independent thought after the fact. Hey, what is this? I want to go and know something more about it. And from just my personal opinion as a scientist and also as an artist, I find that to be a very important transformative element in human experience. So with that being said, I also don't want to answer the question, is scientific visualization art? Because I want to put in questioning the existence of the question. Do we really need to ask this question often? Do we need to categorize things? Or also, as shared by previous panelists, we are sitting here together discussing commonalities, intentions, perceptions, and you are already doing all that work, so congratulations. But for me, that's the valuable thing that we can bring, because I think that there are a lot more commonalities that exist that are left unexplored because we kind of closed the gate too early on to both worlds. So that's it. Thank you very much.